Hey guys, welcome back to another Helluva Boss discussion. I am Dazzling Kate, for those who are new here, and welcome back for those who are old here. So, let me thank you again for your guys' support on the last video. I did not expect to get to 3,000 views and more than 100 likes. That was very surprising. And for my wish for this video is to get to 200 likes for this video. So make sure you hit that like button and comment down below of what you think Stolas is as a father. Like, just be honest. Look at all the evidence that we've seen during the past 2 seasons that we've seen Stolas and Octavia interact with each other, and tell me what your thoughts are. These are my thoughts. Please do not get offended if I didn't analyze things correctly. This is just coming from my point of view, from what I watched, and I'd rather not deal with you guys over explaining to me. But Dazzling Kate, what about this episode? Or what about this scene? Like handfuls of scenes. Guys, remember, when we are brought those flashback scenes, we are only given that 5 to 10 minutes of them interacting from their lifetime. I think I can pretty much say that when it comes to relationships with family, it's a lot. There's a lot there. I'm not asking that there should be a whole documentary series about Octavia and Stolas's relationship. I'm just saying those 2 scenes that we see are just a handful compared to what we normally see on day to day. So, yeah, just reminding you guys of that, because I know people will get on my back and say, but Dazzling Kate, you didn't analyze it correctly. Dazzling Kate, why are you being so unfair to Stolas? He's like a little cinnamon roll. And it's like, oh, why are you being so mean? And it's like, guys, before we get on to that, I want you guys to hear me out. Again, this isn't me hating on Stolas. I think there is potential for him as a character. I just really wish there was a lot of thought put into how he handles this than just him being, well, Stolas. But let's begin. Let's begin. I was gonna say let's continue. Oh my gosh. Anyways, let's talk about the things we've noticed about him first, which is he only really thinks about himself, which in a lot of the time when you see him on screen, he is either focused on himself or he's focused on Blitz in some perverted fashion or whatever else is on his mind, dating him, that kind of stuff. We don't really get to see how he's like with Octavia, with the exception of season 1 and season 2, episodes 2's. We will get into that in just the next few slides, okay? Okay? I'm not ignoring them. I'm just bringing up that we don't really see him doing anything other than those 2 specific things. So yeah, he doesn't really socialize with Octavia. Like, she doesn't really try and ask her things like, "So, what are the kids into today?" Or, "Oh, you want to go shopping or something? I bet you want to go shopping." Like, he doesn't try to really do much of anything. All we really see is his relationship with Blitz, or we see him dealing with the stressfulness of Stella, which is the only 2 things we really see of him doing anything of in the series. We don't really see, and I know the flashbacks, guys. I know. You do not need to remind me. I'm aware. I am very much aware. But even then, there are moments in time where you can easily see what is wrong or not wrong with it. So yeah, we'll get into that in the next slide. But he doesn't really seem to understand Octavia. Like, I'm not saying he should read her like a book, but he should be well aware of what her likes or dislikes are. That's basically a parent thing to do. You're obviously gonna know simple things like maybe they do not like eating carrots. They can't stand the taste, so you always have to opt for a different vegetable. Or maybe they do not like rock music, like simple stuff like that. You know what they do and do not want to listen to, what they will touch on a plate, what they won't touch on a plate. It's just like, it's just those things. He doesn't really seem to understand his kid. Like, whenever she says no, it's like, well, I guess that means yes. Which leads us to a lot of things, which will be in the next slide. I promise. I promise. He doesn't really try to hide his hatred for his ex-wife. Now, I'm talking from a child of a broken up parent, and let me just tell you, there, like, I've had my share from the outside of it, from the inside of it. And my side of it, it's like, my dad never tried to really villainize my mom because he was always aware that there was still going to be potential love for her somewhere in my heart, like that kind of thing. And he would always just, like, let me know ahead of things of, like, how, oh, if you're going over to your mom's house, remember, blah, 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 blah. And also, do not let your older brother punch you in the face. I'm kidding. My older brother never punched. Okay, maybe there was that one time on the trampoline. But this is just me rambling, guys. This is just me rambling. But you get what I mean. When it comes to a divorced couple, especially when there's a child involved, you generally don't want to villainize the other parent because then it makes it feel like a you against us kind of thing. And that has ruined many families, many relationships. It is definitely something I've noticed, and I know a lot of people will be like, "Bedazzling Kate, but Stella is mean. Stella is this, Stella is that." And I know. You do not need to repeatedly tell me that. I'm aware of it. So before you go on to the comments and tell me that, I'm just saying this right now. I'm aware of her personality, and it is very fucked up because I'm like, the potential of good stories and actual personality there that could have been there when it really wasn't. That's a video in itself. Like I said, that is a lot to go through. Anyways, we're gonna move on to the next slide. So we're going to be discussing the Loo Loo Land episode. And I've broken up some of the notes. I had a lot more, but you know me. I like to try and keep things simple because honestly my brain could go on and on. But let me be real, it's just, when you really look into it and watch it with the information you know now, you're kind of like wondering, how the hell is, Stolas not been questioned about his parenting, like, by anybody? Like, and I know he comes from a broken family himself. His dad was a dick. I get that. And that is very common in families that have abuse and neglect within it. Usually, next of kin tend to absorb those factors and become much more like their parent. And that doesn't excuse Stolas from being so. Yes, he has tried, but it's barely there. But okay, so he takes her to the park despite her not wanting to go. Like, within the first few minutes when they're talking about going to Loo Loo Land, she's like, well, I'm not really a kid anymore. And it's like, I'm not really interested. He probably should have been like, okay, let's think of an alternative plan that we can go out and do instead of Loo Loo Land, or like, he should have done something like that where it was like, well, maybe we can go somewhere else. Like, I'll try and think of someplace else and we can go there, blah, blah, blah. It's a simple conversation that generally you want to have with your kid before you take them to a place you obviously know they do not want to go to. It's like, he hears one thing and it goes out the other ear, and it's like, what the fuck? And talking to her inappropriately, this one really ticked me off. Like, when he's getting ready to call Blitz on the phone and he's like, yeah, we're gonna need protection because we're both rich and hot, and I'm like, what good looking, hot, whatever. It still sounds really weird when your dad is saying, well, we're both attractive and rich, so let us go call for protection. Like, I would not go up to my dad or he wouldn't come up to me and say, well, we better go get protection with a bodyguard or something because, we're hot and wealthy. Like, he's not gonna come up to me saying that. And I can say, as someone who has a very comedic dad, he would never say these things. Like, he would never say these things. He's funny in his own right, but like when you get moments where it's like it feels awkward as hell when you say to your daughter like we're both hot, very attractive, that kind of thing. It kind of makes me think of those parents. Like, does anyone remember that one mom that basically dressed just like her daughter, like just like her, and her daughter's like okay with it, and they like I think they bathed in juice. I don't know. I'm just misremembering information, but I remember that it was not, it was not something very family like. And I get that this is a adult show and I should understand that, but it feels so awkward when you have Stolas being so open about like fucking people or whatever, and generally that is shown throughout a lot of media that I've watched or read. I remember this one book, like not book, it was a comic. This one comic where the main character is going to her mother's house and her mother just finished sleeping with someone despite being pretty old, and she's very open about it, and clearly that was a sign of neglect because she was, but like it reminded me of that, and I was just like what the fuck, like why are you so open about this with your kids? Like it's one thing. I can't think of one example actually. I'm trying to think, maybe there's a moment when you can say but no, it just feels really awkward when you're a dad and you're like, well, we're both very attractive and rich and stuff. Let's like make sure we get some protection from bodyguards. Like when you call your daughter attractive, like you usually a father to his daughter, he will say you are very beautiful, or you are very pretty, or you are very cute. He won't go into like the word attractive or hot. Like what? 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 Like honestly, I'm just Anyways, the next thing, let's move on from this. He's too busy looking good for Blitzo, blah blah blah, and it carries on with the theme of the episode is that he's just too busy focused on him, and then like I think the only one that was being more of a dad in that one moment was like Moxie, but that I know that was a joke, but still, that it's really weird when that one moment shows like more of a like, oh, concern parent wise for a kid. It's just like, yeah, I'm just surprised. We okay. So this leads to the next part when basically they go into the circus tent or the rowboat. Fizzerali is just there, and she mentions like Stolas mentions that she used to cry tears of joy whenever she watched the show, and it's like there's a difference between seeing tears of joy and tears of discomfort or fear. Clearly Stolas wasn't paying much attention. And that's just kind of sad when you think about it. And it's just like, what? What the hell? This happened? And he misremembers this information when clearly you can probably remember the three things that your child's afraid of from when they were a kid. Obviously, mine would definitely tell you what I was afraid of back then, and If they were paying attention like they should be, they would definitely tell you that kind of stuff. I can tell you from personal experience of someone who forgets to do this, which is very, very easy to see a parent who just focuses on themselves and not much more on their kids, just too busy with themselves than they would be with their kids' childhood and such. And he clearly shows that. He clearly shows that through the episode is that he thinks this is like, a place she loves, but it's like, not really going well there. He basically gives a half-assed apology at the end, and it's like, so you didn't just acknowledge that basically she just poured her heart out to you, and you're just like, well, I it not even trying to address it at a later point, like, I don't know, writing a letter to her. Like, it's simple exercises like that make it easy to understand. I'm surprised that we didn't have a, Stolas in therapy, or putting him in Octavia in family therapy. He can afford it. He clearly can, but I guess it wouldn't happen because Stolas doesn't know what he's doing. But yeah, nothing is really resolved. And like, let's just go get whatever else from a different place. Taxidermy, I believe. Whatever. Next episode we'll talk about is okay. Oh wait. Frick. Frick. Okay. Okay, so we get on to season 2, episode 2, where basically Octavia remembers a promise her dad gave to her, and he makes this thing sound very rare. I think he should have known this was going to be a question asked, and it should have been there, like, remembered in his head as a big phenomenal thing. It's like he forgets that, and it's like, oh, okay, too busy with the divorce. Even though he has a lot of, staff members who could go through all the items that Stella wants back. It's like, what? He doesn't even try to give them a list, and he's just like, oh, wait. Or he doesn't even try to use his powers. Like, you'd think with your powers you'd be able to be like, oh, wait, got everything in there, dear. There you go. Bye-bye. He could have done that, but no, he's struggling to do it. He doesn't have any servants to keep track of this, or people who were very close to Stella who would know, servants she would use. Like, the thing about the, family is that they don't have a lot of staff members. Only this one that keeps getting thrown about in the fucking episode. It's like, what the hell? You guys should have a full fucking staff. What's with the lack of staff and you doing things yourself? Like, what? Well, like, and I know that would be a lot of, like, animation to have characters in the background, but still, it doesn't make much sense if you're gonna have these situations happen, and, Stolas basically finds out later on that, oh, no, Octavia left. I'm gonna just throw everything out and do it, like, look for her now. And I get it, it's like different, but it's so frustrating to me that we basically had that moment, and I'm like, so you could have just done that after all. I mean, you don't really care about your ex-wife. And I'm not saying he should. It's just, you could have basically just left it to someone you hired. You're rich enough to do so. You're powerful enough to do so. So why not just do so? And yeah, and people may argue with me on the next one, but it's like, basically calling your ex-wife a bitch in front of your kid, and it's like, that's kind of really rude there. I'm not saying she doesn't deserve to be called one, but to me, there's a lack of things to really build her up other than her being a two-dimensional or one-dimensional, very zero-dimensional villain that is only there to prove that Stolas is a victim, blah blah blah, nothing much else going on except for him being a victim of Stella, blah blah blah. Yeah, so yeah. Even when he's searching for Octavia, he is with Blitz the entire time, and it's like you're not leaving the studio to look around, you're too busy focused on Blitz than your own kid. Yeah, buddy, you're kind of fucking it up. You're kind of fucking it up yourself. And it's just like, ugh. But yeah, during this time, he isn't really aware how much the divorce is hurting Octavia. And at this rate, why don't they just go to therapy? Or he goes to, like, getting a family therapist. I don't know. He has, like I said, he has the power, he has the money, so why not just fucking do it? And if you need to, like, focus on rewriting and editing these kind of things of looking into therapists, like family therapists, and learning from people's experiences, do the research. But it just feels so fucking ridiculous that we have a character who practically is powerful and rich enough to do all he can to possibly fix this when I'm just I'm just kind of annoyed. So we'll move on to our next point and we'll end the video because honestly, what the hell? Okay, so another few things is that he didn't try to divorce Stella from an earlier point, and I know it was to give Octavia a normal childhood, but the thing is like, would you really stay with them if they were making you unhappy? And then exposing your kids to that kind of stuff for like over 10 years of, arguments. You could have easily just divorced her, or, if you really wanted to, kill her off. I mean, there's plenty of royal people who've done it in history, so. And I'm not saying he should, but it's like. Tempting. Very tempting. Very tempting. Very tempting. Because I'm like, that probably would have added something, maybe, for her to be mad at. I don't know. It's just. It's really frustrating when it comes to this character of Stolas and his. Ugh. So yeah, he doesn't really explain the divorce and reasons why to Octavia at any point in the series. It's just kind of like, well, we divorced. Why? Reasons. No sitting down and explaining that, you fucked up, you decided to cheat on your wife while you were still married, then you divorced, bam. It doesn't make much sense there. It really doesn't. And he didn't think during the time afterwards, during Sinsmith, like, hey, maybe Stella actually took my phone, because I spent, 15 plus years with this woman. This is something she most likely would have done. And it's frustrating because it would have been easier for him to either send her a letter or do something else, like send a messenger through a, other demon higher up that he knows, that could have just been like, oh yeah, your father sends his regards. He didn't think of doing any of that or even emailing her. I'm just kind of surprised here. It's frustrating, and I know a phone call is very nice to hear from your parent, but it's like he didn't think to try anything like to make her aware, and it doesn't really help matters that he didn't try to let her know about his mental health. That is something I feel like, again, he should have probably explained, because there are many kids who deal with the pain of knowing that their parent was either smoking, drinking, doing other substances because they needed a release of some kind that gave them a good feeling. It's very hard. So seeing that medication, he didn't really try to introduce that he had these meds for reasons than just like, you know, her finding them on her own. And it's just, it's there to be another can of worms in itself. It's very frustrating how much Stolas never explained to Octavia and why it's now affecting the relationship. I'm glad that it's doing that because it's, you know, doing well in storytelling, but the problem is, like, everyone wants to say Stolas was a good dad before then, like he was an awesome dad. Like, bitch, show me. Show me. Cuz it's not just flashbacks. It's like there's more information there that we do not have that basically points to Stolas really not paying much attention to his parental stuff. I feel like once Octavia hit like 13 or something, like 12 or 13, he kind of just stopped being like more pleasant to be around. And, you know, once the divorce happened, it just unleashed everything, and it was aggravating. And honestly, I am not surprised by how much that happened. But anyways, guys, this is the end of the video. So I really want to thank you guys for last video reaching 3,000 views. You do not know how much that means. I hope we can like get to like 5,000 views with this video and 200 likes, but that's just a bet. That's just a bet if you can. Anyways, guys, thank you so much for watching. So yeah, stay safe, stay cool, and most importantly, guys, stay hydrated. This is Dazzling Kate, and wait. Let me rephrase that. This is Dazzling Kate signing the hell out of here.